Good morning.
Good morning.
Got a new tour guide today. What's your name, ma'am?
Lydia.
Lydia and I are going to be showing you what's going on in the greenhouse and the gardens. And yeah, is stuff growing?
Yeah.
All right, let's check it out.
Mom planted all these carrots and they're coming up really good. Okay. Mom, are you going to put the kale in your eggs soon?
Yes, I need to put kale in our eggs soon, right?
Yeah.
We need some more greens, I think, in our diet. Our turnips are coming up. These all need to get picked. These look so good. We didn't end up eating any turnip greens, which is funny because last year that was what we liked them for most. We've had a few turnip bulbs and then we've just chopped them up and cooked them. The radishes are still doing all right. You know, these things that are supposed to be cold hardy, we have some that are flowering, going to seed, but these things that are supposed to be cold hardy, it's funny sometimes how well they do in this hot greenhouse, right? The tomatoes that we've got in the greenhouse, I can't remember the variety, crimson something, but they're doing well. There's 3 here on this plant, a couple up here at top. I mean, there's flowers too, but not nearly as many as our tomatoes in the garden, which is kind of what we expected, but we really wanted to keep these separate so that we could save seed.
About to leave, already packing. Come with me, I'm not really asking. We'll get away to a place where we don't know. About to see the world in action, what we can be, life with no distractions. We'll get away, this is what we waited for. Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out. I'm done living life with the lights out, down with my own doubts. Be free with me. Be free. Be free with me. Be free.
So our herbs that are up here growing are doing really well. I'm hoping to get our garlic that's in the house drying tied up one of these days so that I can pick some more herbs and get them on the drying rack. Just tends to be really easy to do that. I certainly could tie these up and dry them in other ways. All the flowers and the herbs with the flowers are just beautiful, still blooming here at the beginning of August. Our onions, this bed here has proven to be an issue for weeds. We just can't seem to keep the weeds out of it. Well, this bed here hardly gets weeds in comparison, and it's funny because the dirt is so hard compared to like what we've got going on in the greenhouse since we mixed that with the peat moss and stuff. This was regular just like farm fill dirt that we put in here. So these onions are all doing well, I would say. I mean, we're definitely losing some, and it works out because, you know, we need onions. So as we're seeing them kind of going, we're picking them. But a lot of these that are sideways and things, you know, we're always told that when they bend, you should pick them. A lot of them are getting bigger, so I'm leaving them. As long as the top hasn't really started dying back, I've been leaving them. So our leeks are doing well. You're supposed to plant those in the fall, kind of like you do garlic, but I planted them in the spring. So I'm interested to see what kind of crop we end up getting at the end of the season. I've never even eaten leeks, so it'll be interesting. And our shallots here at the end, now these were kind of like replanted shallots from last year because same kind of thing. I should have planted them earlier, so instead I harvested them, kept them, replanted them like second-year onions. So down in the garden, we have been having lots of issues with that cucumber beetle. And what we found is that if we come out here in the later evening, like just before dark, they are everywhere, all over these plants. So we've been coming out about that time and just getting rid of all of them. And although we definitely still have quite a bit of damage on these cucumber plants, I would say overall they're doing fairly well. A lot better than last year when we tried spraying them with soapy water. I think we did like Castile soap and water. But some of the plants are even, this one, wrapping past like the halfway mark. So hopefully we'll be getting lots of cucumbers. So we have been picking lots of cucumbers to eat fresh, and we've been making lots of like cucumber salads and things. I even am planning on making some braised cucumbers tonight, which is just like a Julia Child recipe. It's cooked cucumbers with butter and dill, pretty simple, but a great way to use some of those really big ones or the ones that are going a little bit yellow. But what I really need to be doing is getting some of these picked and making pickles. Leroy is asking me every day if we can pick these potatoes yet, and they're not quite ready yet, but they are starting to kind of curl on the leaves a little bit. So pretty much every time I've had an opening in the garden, I'm planting green beans. So all these ones I planted over here where the cabbages were are coming up. All the ones I planted here where the garlic were are coming up and looking good. The dill I kind of just tied up and away. It's looking good. Still got lots of raspberries, right?
Yeah. Oopsie daisy.
Yesterday we were out here and we had some strawberries on the plants too. So we did pick those. They were kind of mushy. We weren't able to eat them, but we did have strawberries. Sunflower, that one volunteer here, still beautiful, lots of different heads. Some of them are dying back. The other volunteer that I left that was in the middle of the garlic, the head is just like, it's getting so close. I bet by next week it'll be open. So hoping for lots more of that. I definitely need to come out here and pick some dill. I kind of would like to have it fresh for pickles, so that's why I've been leaving it. We still only have one head of broccoli forming that I've seen. Now, usually what I do is I pick it as soon as the broccoli, like it'll be formed, and you'll see it looks taller. And the day it looks taller, I pick it, because otherwise it starts like bolting. So if it looks any bit taller, I pick it. Sometimes our heads end up being about that size, which I'm guessing I'm going to be picking it soon. Just looking at the color on the top, it's not quite as green as it was. And sometimes they get bigger, sometimes they're smaller, so I'm going to count it as a win, hoping that we get a lot more broccoli from the other heads. No cauliflower yet. Our hot peppers, we are seeing lots of jalapenos coming up, so that's really exciting. They might be natapenos. I labeled these, but it's kind of hard to tell. Some of the sticks came out and things. And I think it's our peppercini are also coming up really well. Our bell peppers seem to be doing well, and I know you guys are going to remind me to dig one of these up and put it in the greenhouse this year, right? Maybe even a few more for the basement. That's just been my plan for years, and I never get to it. But we've got lots of peppers coming on the bell peppers, lots more flowers, so we know they won't just be done after this. The tomato jungle, as the kids are calling it, is growing like wild. These plants down here at the end are about to my knee, so they're not too tall, but they do have some pretty big tomatoes on them. And then more towards the front of the garden, we've got some really tall, really thick plants. And that's, of course, where I planted lots of them. I should have maybe, in retrospect, planted where they don't grow really huge. But those are doing so well. I need to clip them up again. I just honestly haven't had the time to do it. We've been picking cherry tomatoes, the sun gold cherries, but we haven't had any other blushing tomatoes that I've seen. Well, I'm out here recording. Lydia's been out here doing the hard work. What are you doing?
Picking purple beans. And Mom's gonna pick the green beans because green is like the plant, you see? And I don't know where them are.
Yeah, so we desperately need to pick our green beans today. I got a little crazy and bought a bushel and a half more of peaches, and so I have spent the last few days doing that. And before that, I also bought a couple boxes of cherries, so I was making cherry pie filling, and I was realizing that like I don't have time to do green beans because I did this. So today, like, green beans have to get done. My peach peels are in the fridge, so maybe I'll throw that in tomorrow's vlog if I get to that. But green beans and peach peel jelly have to get done like ASAP. And like you saw, I need to get some pickles going too. We definitely have some more kohlrabi we could be picking over here. They're pretty small down here. Last year we grew them in the top of the garden, and they definitely, like, I couldn't keep up with picking them. These have been fine, and again, I've been just cooking them. I'm not really a huge fan of raw kohlrabi, but I think I'd like to play around with maybe pickling them sometime, but I don't know if this is the year for it. So we have been hearing you guys ask a lot about what's going on with the melons and the pumpkins. So we planted our pumpkins, our watermelons, our cantaloupe muskmelon over here by a bunch of the beehives, and we have never had really great luck with melons. So I don't know, I would say every melon I've found out here is about the size of a golf ball. So today is August 2nd, so I'll give it a little grace that maybe they'll get larger. But we really usually like personal size watermelons is as big as we ever end up getting. Now this is our first time planting over here, and we did try to fertilize and things and trying to keep the weeds down, but as you can see, I mean, they're coming up pretty fast. So it's kind of hard to do that, being this isn't really a special designated garden space. But I'd love to hear if you guys have any tips or advice, just kind of feedback on how you get your watermelons to grow really big in such a short season. Now, we typically don't have issues with pumpkins. Last year, our chickens ate them all, so there was that. But we typically don't have an issue growing pumpkins, albeit sometimes they're a little bit smaller than like your average jack-o'-lantern. But I'm not seeing a single pumpkin on these vines. Lots of flowers, lots of vines, but no pumpkins yet.
Glad you got to see us again. Bye.
Bye.
Don't forget to subscribe down below.
Oh, and give it a
A thumbs up.